Whoa, what am I doing? Hello, how is everybody today? Hi. Hopefully you can hear me. And yeah, I was having a slight bit of issues with my headphones, but I don't think it should be a huge deal. And I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I've been trying to reset up my desk, so I don't know. Hopefully, we won't have a massive amount of technical difficulties, but if so, who knows? Oh, hello. Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. I can never tell, I don't know, like my old headphones would basically have side tones so I could hear myself talking. But anyway, my new microphone has way less background noise, but I wind up not hearing myself. So it's always a little bit weird. Anyway, let us jump down to the desk and just see what we have to see. And let me make myself a little bit bigger for now. So tonight I was thinking we could work some more on adventure cards, and I was on a friend's stream on Monday and made these three. These are the first three sketches from Kendra's Card Challenge 11, and I really am liking this one. As you may notice, I've been going a bit nuts with the whole tag thing. This is the first sketch, and I really like it quite a bit. Um, so yeah, I've been enjoying that, and I thought we could kind of continue this series. Also, if you like these layouts, there's on my channel. There's a stream from yesterday afternoon that's linked. So if you want to see me make Halloween cards, not all of them have tags, but I actually was very inspired and actually decorated the inside, which I never do. But that's up on my channel on the playlist. It's like streams with other crafters or something like that. Anyway, but for tonight, I thought that we could work on a couple of the sketches. And let me see if I have the one. Well, I can just pull them up on the screen for you here. Let's see. So we've went through sketch 3 already. So the next one basically we would be working on is sketch 4. Let me grab the papers. I've been working with the remains of my Spellbinders pad. So let's see. Let me switch you back to normal for a second. If I can click the right mouse button. Here we go. So this is the time offline pad. And as you can see, like you'd think, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's been used for like 4 card challenges and a bunch of sheet loads, but these pads basically have 40 sheets of pattern paper, and if you do the math, essentially one sheet of pattern paper translates to a card, and then if you do the easy math beyond that, basically that means that 2 is about 5 cards, and then either 4 sheets of 6x6 or a 12x12 translates to about 10 cards. So as you can see, like one piece of one piece or one pad of pattern paper, using that math would make 100 cards. So you get a lot of use out of it. This is a sketch I haven't done a ton, but it is pretty neat. I like the fact that it has sort of this double circle that makes its own focal point, which is pretty cool. Whether or not we do this whole piece or not, we will see. Let me just pull out my papers and see what exactly we are working with for this particular sketch. I think this Kendra's Card Challenge is probably one of my favorites, just because, we get to work. Oh, sorry, let me take that down for a second. So we get to work with one of my favorite pieces of pattern paper from this particular series, which is this floral, which is just really nice. It's not going to take much help, but we're going to do this and that. And let's see what else. And so we have our 2 teal pieces, and then so this is kind of going along the same lines as what we did for, well, I guess you you may not have seen this, but for sketch 2, where it's sort of this teal and then this pink plaid. And let me see what y'all are saying for a second. Oh, hello, Yvette. Nice to see you. Hello, Jamie, as well. Hi, Ron. I see, and Heather. And Heather is nice to see you as well. Oh, and Debbie is here. Hi, Debbie. I have a funny story about Debbie. Like, she was sort of the, I'll say, inspiration for getting this whole thing, getting into live streaming thing started. Aha, I found the last piece. Um, it's sort of this nice floral pink that, anyway, Debbie was sort of the inspiration because I kept watching her streams and I was like, these are really fun. So, anyway. She can either be credited or blamed for this whole thing starting. But anyway, let me just grab a card base. As I may have told the story on other streams, I made the perhaps mistake of buying a bunch of these super value card bases from Michaels, and I didn't pay attention to what size the actual like package was. So I have 100 of these, so that's why I've been using them a lot. Anyway, this initial piece is pretty straightforward because we just sort of mat this, and then I probably need to cut some circles, so I think I will do that. Trying to see if in cleaning up my desk, I may have. Oh no, here it is. Perhaps. Well, I found one of my pieces of Kendra's Card Challenge. I have the PDF, so it's not a big deal, but I may pull that up from time to time just to actually let me pull up the PDF on my PC, and we will see that quickly. I actually like working with the PDFs on these the most as opposed to printing them because you can sort of zoom in, and I invariably sometimes get slightly confused as to what dimension things are. So this is a good example of a sketch where there's a bunch of mats and we may or may not use them. So let me just make this a little bit easier on all of us. And let's look at the sketch and look at me at the same time. Isn't that great? So as you can see, this sort of main piece that sits on top here, just grab the dimensions on that quick. So there's a slightly larger layer, which is 3 1/8 and by 4 3/8, and then there's a 3 by 4 1/4. And there's also a similar setup on this mat. I think I'm going to drop the 2 mats and just sort of go for a single color here. And then there's a band that goes across. I'm going to see if I can't pull a color out of the pattern paper for that. So let's see what we can see. I have some leftover. I think this is cream. I don't know. I guess it's white. Anyway, I have some white that I think will work pretty well here. But I really think I want to pull in maybe a nice purple. Not just because it's Halloween, for other reasons. And of course, the side effect for like cleaning up your desk is you're like, actually, I think I have ooh, this would be nice. I may do the band out of metallic. I think that would look pretty cool. Yeah, and let me just see if I missed anything from you all while I was getting confused by pattern paper. Oh, hi, Dawn. How are you? Nice to see you. Oh, really? Yeah, I remember my grandparents lived in Florida for many years, and like they would occasionally get. They never really. I guess Andrew was the only hurricane that really impacted them like super directly, but I don't know. I enjoy living in the Midwest where we don't have hurricanes, although I don't know. It was like super fall adjacent temperatures for a week. It would have helped if I found my paper trimmer. But it was like, I don't know, 70s, which was really nice. Like highs of 70s, I should say. And then sort of 60s in the morning. And, it was just quite nice. However, this week it's going back up into the 90s. So that's always the thing. So this I just need at 3 inches. And with these, it kind of did. The more mats and layers you use, I think the more of a finished card you get. But I mean, it's also kind of, I don't know. It also adds dimension, which is nice. But sometimes I feel like if you do the card flatter, it makes you sort of focus on the pattern paper a little bit more. But to each their own. So basically, the circle piece is going to sit on top of this, and I think we're going to. Do I want to do? I might punch out of this. I think I'll go with my original idea and grab something a little more subtle, like craft. This is, yeah, craft would be nice. It'd be 1 3/4 by something by 3. Well, that would make sense, and it would be exactly the same as this piece. I like where this is going. And then we will see if I know where my punches are. Ah, I found it. Hooray. It's always to me like the downside of cleaning up. It's like you clean up and then you're kind of like, I don't remember where that stuff was. It used to be on my desk and now it isn't anymore. So let's grab circle out of this guy. There we go. So that's sort of how this is going to stack up. It is a little bit blingy, but what happens is you can then put this guy here, and then we're just going to cut a banner sentiment and then put that over the division between the two, I think. But I might want to ink blend on this. The white is looking a little plain to me. We just need to figure out. So like a pink would be nice. Yeah, so I guess pink is a color that would. I actually had a pink I was working with yesterday I liked quite a bit. Let me see if that. Here we go. It's this Do-Si-Do, which is almost more of a melony pink, but I think that would work nicely with the flowers. So I think we will try that out. It sort of dries to sort of this kind of a color, if that makes sense. So I think that'll add a little more. I think that'll sort of pull in the pinks that are here with the base a bit. Let's see how you guys are doing. It's always nice to see you, Terry. I haven't seen you in a bit. Yeah, I forget. Oh, that's right. You're in Texas. One of my good friends is in Texas too, and I always kind of feel like the Midwest and Texas have similar weather until I realize they don't. And the summer and winter are usually those times. But yeah. So where are here we go. I'm actually being fairly good at finding things, which is surprising to me because every time I clean my space, it's like I feel like I have a tendency to sort of lose things. And I tend to like to just sort of ink edge stuff a bit, just as a general technique, because it tends to add a lot of visual interest without necessarily, becoming its own element exactly. Now, this is interesting. I must have had some red because I think it's pulling in here a little bit. That's not bad though, because I mean, we're kind of going with a floral theme, and to me, this is sort of a very florally. If my camera wouldn't blow out, that would be nice. Yeah, like this is a very florally sort of pink, so I think that'll work well. Hi, Ron. Oh, thanks, Ron. I always forget to ask people to do the YouTube things. I need to like make a banner that says that and just scroll along the bottom or something. Because I always like get into the project and it's like, oh yeah, please do all the YouTube things too. But so this will mat on top here. And then we'll break up that pink with this. So this is sort of the guts of the card. And then we just need to do a kind of quick sentiment banner. Again, the original card design tends to have there's a lot more matting, so if that's your deal, it definitely has that. But I kind of like doing these in simpler forms too. But I like doing it. But I mean, I think it's sort of like by about the second month in these challenges, I kind of get there because it's sort of like, I don't know. It's like whatever. The first month, I tend to be very follow the rules, and then the second month, I'm kind of more experimental, I guess. And I'm going to cheat and actually, this is a different punch. Here's the punch I wanted. I'm so bad at cutting these fishtail banners. I actually have a punch to do it. Well, I guess I'm not bad. I just get kind of lazy about it. And see, they just make them perfect every time, which is nice. I will leave this as is, I think, and then we can cut and punch it once we figure out what sentiment we're going to use, which might have been a good thing to do. I've been kind of keeping this series a bit more anytime cards, so I'll probably continue with that. I believe I still have the hello, which I think that would be nice. On the original sketch, this is mostly just covering the banner, so I'm going to put this most of the way at the end here. Although obviously your mileage may vary, and if you want to do different things, that is super cool as well. I'm curious what color this is under here. Oh, this is Twilight. I don't know what I probably won't. I don't know. I've been using like dark green a lot, but I think I'll just do this in black because I think it'll make it a lot easier to read. There we go. I do like this Catherine Pooler pigment ink. It always seems to stamp everything nicely the first time, which is always good. And then we probably want, I don't know, something like here. Can leave it a little long because we're going to lose a bit when we punch it. And I think this should work out pretty well. And it did. So essentially, the way this goes together is you use this to sort of cover that intersection. So this tends to look cleaner. But I think we have most of our pieces together. Assuming I didn't lose my glue bottle. Hooray. I don't know. Oh, hey, Hug by a Card. How are you? Hello, Cordelia. I didn't notice you come in, but it is good to see you. I love your very cute cat picture, as always. Let's just get this guy together. The sketch also calls for some embellishments, which I don't know. I've been using stickles a lot, so I might do that if I can remember where I put them. Oh, actually, I have some enamel dots that would work great too. Um, those are usually my two go-tos. Stickles I'm fairly new to, but other than the fact that you have to let them dry, I do really like that it's super quick to get things together. As per my normal, I'll make sure I know what side the card opens on before I start sticking stuff down. The one kind of downside to using this double-sided ATG adhesive tape is like once it's down, it's down. And if I tried to rip that up, I would basically destroy both pieces all at once. So I don't know. This is still one of my favorite pattern papers I've used thus far. Although there are a few others that are like really cool in this particular set. Just see if I missed anything from you guys. No, that is always good. And kind of a nice thing about, I'll say all of Kendra's sketches is that you can either use like a dry adhesive like this stuff, or you can use wet glue if you prefer. I think I like this better with the darker part in sort of the right-hand corner. If you want to be really sure that you line things up correctly, you can definitely use a ruler or other things. I've just sort of eyeballed it. I was really OCD when I started about it, but most of I'll say there's always sort of this debate amongst people of whether or not like cards that look a little out of whack are sort of more handmade or not, or if you want something that looks very perfect. I'm not great at very perfect, so obviously I love Halloween because if the card is a little off center, and I don't know if I don't think this happened to the one I have here, but there was one I just like stuck down the actual paper wrong. But yeah, so if that happens, it looks a little odd or off center, you can just claim that you meant to do it because Halloween. And with these little banners are kind of going to go on the back of this front piece or this big circle. So I found it somewhat easier to put a little glue on the back. And then you can sort of ground these and then glue the whole thing down and it should work pretty well. Although I will say with the particular glue I'm using, which is a PVA glue, you don't have a ton of working time. So it's sort of like, I don't know. And you can sort of, I like it a little when a little bit of these goes off the edge. So I'll just do that and then sort of center it. And we are doing really well on this card. You can glue down the banners or not. That's kind of up to you. I think in my first card I did. On this one, I think I'll leave them loose, just cause. I think it's kind of a nice look as well, because you have sort of the differing layers of cardstock. So having the banners a little less grounded is cool too. Let's see. Hello, hey Lynn, how are you? Hope all is well. Hopefully you're avoiding. I saw whose TikTok did I see? I saw Ken Hess's TikTok, and he's in Spokane, and I guess they have a major fire impacting that area pretty dramatically. Hopefully, you and Barry and all of our other Washington friends are doing all right with that. That sounded quite scary. That's good. I'm glad you were doing well. I'll just put this hello over here. One of the nice things I like about these are foil papers from Michaels, but one of the nice things is, I don't know if it'll read on camera, but because it's not 100% reflective, like the surface is a little bit scuffed on purpose. Uh, if you do get glue fingerprints on things, as I tend to do, it doesn't, and you just sort of use like a damp cloth on it quickly, like it won't get it all off, but it'll at least look pretty decent. Let's see what we want to do here. Well, we have a whole new set of these, which I like quite a bit. I feel like yellow is the right answer here. Blue, of course, always works. The red, there really isn't red in this. Well, I guess there's a little red in this paper. Actually, all three of these colors would work, although I'm kind of leaning towards the yellow. Oh wow! Yikes! That's pretty serious. Hopefully, yours is not at risk. My mom was asking how you manipulate these enamel dots, and basically the secret is to just not push them down until they're where you think you want them to be, and then apply pressure, and then the adhesive will stick them down. And depending on these cat scrappiness ones, I've never had adhesive issues, but they'll say like I think it was some I got on the dollar from the dollar store. Like the adhesive kind of came off the enamel dot. If that happens, all you really need to do is use some kind of strong glue. This is mono, but Fairly Arts or tacky glue or whatever. Any like standard glue for gluing things that aren't just paper should work perfectly for that. Or I guess close to perfectly. I feel like none of my things ever come off perfectly. Yeah, me too. I don't know. It sounds like a lot of people are having some serious weather these last couple weeks. I don't know. It's always kind of makes me grateful in the sense that, like, I don't know. I feel like we always have our sort of usual adult problems, but I just hope everything goes well for the folks out in Washington. I agree. I don't think I could be for. I feel like some of your cards are way more closer to perfect than mine ever are. But um, I think this one is fun actually. It says hello, and I this feels like a card that like my mom would really like, just with the florals. And I like the fact that you're kind of echoing the pink of this paper. Obviously, it was totally accidental, but I'm liking this one. It's making this one is making me happy. I think I'll do at least one more card because this next sketch is actually a personal favorite of mine. Um, not for reasons you would think, but really more because, well, let me pull it up and I can tell you some stories. So this is sketch 5, and when I originally did this, I didn't know if you notice there's sort of some of the card base is showing. So this is a good if you have a like prettier card bases, this is a great time to bust those out. I have some Hobby Lobby ones and a bunch of sort of summary colors I might use for this particular card. Anyway, um, so yeah, when I originally did this, I just matted these layers all up at the top and then wound up with like an inch of free space. And yeah, that didn't quite work out as I was anticipating. So, I wound up doing a little bit of surgery on the card and making it a very unique size. But the other thing that I did last time that I really liked a lot was that you can just space these papers out. In this sort of central area where you have the that main focal point, you can change that up. And I think we're going to, because I have some ephemera that matches this paper. And I think we're just going to do some sort of collage thing. And then we may or may not add a sentiment. So that's what I'm thinking for today. So let's put that in the corner. And I don't know. I need to buy more of these because I own these in like every color, but I go through enamel dots very quickly. These are my these have been a go-to for a long time, and I really like the not too shabby ones because they actually I have some here, maybe. I don't know if it reads on camera, but really doesn't read on camera when it's off camera. But these actually have some glitter in them. And yeah, you can see I occasionally buy enamel dots. I have a whole box of enamel dots. So yeah, they make appearances pretty frequently. But let me see what we have in terms of the papers going on here. And different people have different approaches to sort of keeping all their stuff sorted. But um, I really like accordion folders like this one because you can just I just label them with all the card sketch numbers. I don't know if you can see that, but and then in the back of here because I this is like a 20 something one. I just use these to hold all my pre-cut and ready to go sheet loads of cards because that's really nice. Like if you just want to go and work on a live, because all you really have to do is pick your pattern paper and then you're pretty much good to go. Oh, and I am missing things. You fine folks are saying. Oh, so let me put that on screen. It's kendrascardchallenges.com is the main page. Let me just grab a link and I'll just put that up. And one of those things I probably should have thought of doing before, as we are all such professional YouTubers here today. Do. Thank goodness for banners, right? Let's add a new one and we will. Oh, that's not very friendly. Let me try that. Yeah, that's it, right? That works. Ah, fantastic. There we go. Maybe. Or not. Let's try that again. There we go. So it's just kendrascardchallenges.com. These are quarterly sketch challenges. So we are at the midpoint of one, which is to say, it started in August. August? No, it started in July. It's going to continue through August and September. And I seem to have left paper behind. Unless we get to. Yep. So if you ever like do this, like I was about to potentially, and like lose a piece, it's not that big of a deal because you can just pretty much recut it. I guess the other cool thing about Kendra's card challenges is they are free and you get to win prizes if you complete a full set of 15 and post them to the Facebook group, which is linked on the webpage. And I guess I will be just, I think this would work well. Um, it's sort of a pink, navy, and teal color palette. So we could do pink, or if I have, we could do something like this would also look nice on sort of I kind of like the blue. Let's do the blue because not that there's anything wrong with pink cards, but I think I want to see how this look. I'm going to lay this out and see how it goes. I don't know, Lynn, did I forget anything about Kendra's card challenges? Lynn is the coordinator for both of the teams involved with Kendra's, and I don't know. I've been involved with it for a while, but I also really enjoyed doing it just as a fun thing to do. I mean, this particular one I think is really interesting. I'm sorry, I'm totally off screen. Um, just because so many of the cards are very scrap friendly. So like this one, I mean, these are 4-inch by 1-inch pieces, but had I not cleaned up my desk, I could have easily just done this with stuff on my desk. Let's just move this down. I think the math here is that you really will have about 1/8 of an inch once these are all matted out. So I tend to sort of lay these out for something like this just to see how I like it. I think this is good. We could have lucked out, and then we have two very pink dominant patterns, and then one with pink that we can use in the middle, and then the other stuff will just sort of fill in here. Yes, yes. This is an interesting. So this is an interesting teal, and you can see it really well here. And then it's one of these patterns that's very subtle. So it's got like little stars on it. It's like teal with little stars on it, basically. Um, and whilst we are here, sorry for the rustling. I was thinking to myself I needed to buy washi tape for the fall and Halloween, and I just found like a whole bag of like 15 rolls of washi tape because, of course, why wouldn't I? Oh, hi, Kim in Alaska. Nice to see you. I don't think I've seen you here before, and welcome. I've definitely seen you on the Crafty Fun streams, and I accidentally dropped this guy before. So I'm really liking this deer, and I probably need to, I think maybe do the focal piece in craft or something, and I'm kind of liking the deer in front of the log as sort of a concept. And I don't know that I will actually put a sentiment on this, although depending on, I'm curious if there's enough contrast. Oh, there'll be tons. Fantastic. All the paper is actually Spellbinders. They do really phenomenal card kits, and this one, I think, I don't know if it's currently on sale, but it's been on sale a few times. But it is definitely one of my personal faves, just because there's a lot you can do with it. So this main focal piece is 2¼ by 3½. So let's just do that. As some of you may or may not know, like I'm very obsessed with using craft for everything. So I really like this time of the year because you have Halloween and fall, and then you also get it when you get into it a little bit more. You also will get to the more wintry holidays, and they will all have. Let me see if I can figure out where this is labeled. And they're all going to have very cool things which I can use craft for. And this I actually picked up in a D-stash recently, after almost destroying my. I had gotten a corner chomper off of Amazon, and it works fine for paper, but I decided to like try and use it on a mini album, and that didn't work very well. So anyway, so I'm thinking about this in the center. I do think we want to figure out where I put my scrap piece of paper I was doing ink stuff on, because this would be really nice with a little bit more color, I think. Well, here's a misprinted swatch card. I guess we'll use that as our piece of paper for the moment. I don't know. I feel like this isn't just a me thing, but for some reason, like it's really easy to lose stuff on your desk sometimes. Or ink when you organize all your ink. Ooh, we could use. There's a new ink I've been wanting to try that we might use. Sandcastle would be good. Ginger would be better if I remember where I put it. Oh, it's probably in this other pile. I have many Catherine Pooler piles on my desk most of the time. It's funny because I went through a phase where I thought I had no. It's probably in the last place I looked, right? Let's see. I know this is on my desk, which is kind of the funny part. And we will get. Here we go. This is actually one of my all-time favorite colors from her, just because I feel like it's super versatile and very fall. And just grab our brown brush that somehow I have blue on slightly. It hasn't really impacted anything, but I don't know. I'm pretty good at just sort of jacking these up from time to time. But I really like this one, particularly on craft, because it sort of warms up the edge without making it super obvious. I think it was actually Sagar who was on the stream yesterday that I may have learned/borrowed that technique from, because like he liked to do it, I recall, with like these Spellbinders die cuts, because you can add a lot of dimension just by sort of ink edging this. And you can see that even in this little panel, right? It looks more interesting than had we not done something. In this card, I think I actually will. Now, we could put a sentiment down here. This is a little big, so we can definitely... And there's a cat trying to maul my leg. Anyway, I don't know. I think this looks pretty good. I mean, this almost looks like... We could just move it up a little bit too, and then we could get it around. Maybe like a friend or a hello or something like that. I am liking the hello, so maybe I'll stamp that at the bottom. You do need a mount. Just catching up on comments a little bit. Oh, have we moved on to dessert talk? Oh, a phone holder. Yeah, so I can't take it apart because I'm streaming with it right now. But if you remember sort of a drafting table lamps, you can get those that will come with a phone mount on the end, and they're pretty straightforward. I mean, like as long as you have something they can clamp to, they work pretty well. There are also freestanding ones if that's your thing. It kind of depends on the space you're working with. I would say more space is better, though. I always tend to sort of have this issue of, like, I have a huge desk, but by the time I put all my stuff on it, it seems not huge anymore. But I don't know. I think I got mine on Amazon, although I'm sure they sell them like virtually everywhere. Lynn may know for sure, since she's been doing this for a while. And I'm just going to go pick up my hello and hope that I didn't lose my black ink somewhere. I didn't. Hooray. If you hear him, this is one of my cats saying hello and how he'd like to eat, even though he had dinner not very long ago. Whoops. There we go. That came out pretty great. I am happy. These sentiments I've used in this whole set are basically from one Gina K set that it's called something hexagons, because I don't have the packaging anymore, but it's been pretty sweet. Yes, I would like some key lime pie as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think we all want desserts. But yeah, hugged by a card. Feel free to drop a note in the Friday night crafting chat. I'm sure people have some pretty good specific recommendations if it's something that's not like super available locally. I've kind of gone through a few. I like ones where there are more controls around like how you can lock it in, because the thing that gets annoying is like sometimes they'll be a little wobbly, and like then I don't know, depending on how OCD you are, it will you know, make you go a little bit nuts trying to do a setup. I'm not that particular about it, but I don't know. It's still kind of like, I don't know. The weird thing about making videos is like stuff that's not obvious to anyone watching them will become a big deal to you. Or you'll get like Canva Pro, like Lynn convinced me to do at one point, and or just Canva generally, and you'll spend like way too much time making like cute thumbnails that like I'm not sure if anybody else will ever notice, but like I definitely like them. Uh, but let me just see what y'all are talking about. Oh, very true. Like, I guess that will. I forget. I don't think it was you, but someone was talking about how they were like watching one of the streams, and their hubby was coming out every so often and just sort of looking hungry, and was hoping that like they would make dinner soon. Uh, there we go. I'm sure the cats would be happy if I got them dinner sooner rather than making more cards, but we shall see. Uh, and this is sort of the spacing if you want like this kind of a look, because then the last one you can just sort of even up, and if it's a little wonky, it'll be fine. It'll just look more handmade, right? But I do particularly like these papers. They are some of my favorites, and not just because they're adventure themed. I guess it is because they're adventure themed, but they also like bring in a lot of florals and other things, so it's not like super in your face adventure themed. I agree. Well, I don't know, especially if you're working on stuff that like takes a long time. That's where I always feel like, oh, I would really like a snack. The cat would also like a snack. Then I think I'll just center this guy. And this glue will give you a little bit of working time, just like not as much as you're expecting it would. It's sort of like 10 seconds, and it's pretty adhered, but it's, I don't know, it always sort of works out. There we go. Like, as you can see, that was moving around, but like now it's basically down, and I could still pull that up at this point, but uh, it won't be too long until pulling it up would sort of mess up everything. But I don't know, I like this particular sketch quite a bit because it's just a very simple sketch that you can do whatever you want with it. Um, this one and 1 and 9, and there are a lot in this particular card challenge where like it's just a good sketch to have, because even if you weren't making a series, you can definitely make a few. Um, and there are still a lot of people here. I think we might do a third card tonight, since you all are still chatting and having fun. And so I will just show you. Well, I can probably just swap. There we go. So this is the one Sagar did yesterday, which is basically almost all of the papers in a. Well, I guess I should be good and like bring up the sketch for real. So this is, if I can find it. Here we go. This is 6. So you have a double mat if you so choose to use it. Um, I think I'll continue with just doing the simpler approach. I will probably mat paper F, but it's mostly banners. So again, it's also like if you just happen to have a bunch of scrap pattern paper that you liked, you could definitely just use that too. So let's put that back in the corner. Any other thing you could do, any of these sketches like 6 is a good example of this, right? Like you could not you could just put the banners directly on a card front too if you had one you liked. See what you guys are chatting about. That's pretty good, Kim. I, I would enjoy it if someone brought me snacks when I was crafting. uh, that is awesome. So I will put this guy to the side for now. And I think I'll use one of these super value card bases, but I wound up, if I didn't clean them up too well, picking up some craft card bases that are just note cards. They're not like foldy cards, so but I am not seeing where I put those. Well, I can, but I guess. Well, my point was sort of that you can always just put a new front on these. So, like, if you do want to, or even if you're just making your own cards out of, I don't know, a thinner weight cardstock or a single color like this, you can definitely just put a new front on them. The other thing you can do is, which we might do with this, because I think I'll cut the mat as designed. Well, sort of. I'll definitely cut a 5 1/4 by 4 mat. Well, I think I'll do it as designed. But what we can do for the actual ink edge, what we can do here is actually ink edge this with the ginger and sort of bring in a little bit more color. And so if you really want this back edge to remain more pristine, you can either do this folded and potentially risk getting some ink on the inside, which really isn't that big of a deal, but you can do that. The other thing you can do is you can fold it flat and then use some kind of masking tape just to keep this edge clean. But I think I'll just fold this over. And we will risk potentially getting a little ink somewhere else. The good news about these very thin card bases made out of not my favorite paper is that they are like super absorbent. So like this ink step is really, really fast. And they dry super quickly as well. And I think this is the technique I said. This isn't quite the technique, but this is a technique I think I first saw from Angela Brennan, who uses it a lot. Because essentially, if you're going to make a mat anyway, like you can just ink edge this and it'll give you a very similar effect. So let's grab some craft and just cut a standard mat, and then we can show you how those two things go together. If I find where that paper watered off to. Actually, I think I will use a slightly different paper. I have this really nice gray. It's funny. I was looking through gray because it's Halloween soon, and realized I had almost none left. So I don't know. That's definitely going on my Michael's list, which is surprising because I don't think of gray as a color I use. But anyway, to just sort of finish this demo quick. So what you can do is if you put the mat on top of this, and this is a little hard because my cell phone likes to, maybe I can turn down my light a little bit so this is easier for my cell phone. Yeah, now you can see this a little bit better. So it just looks like a really, it's looks like a, you sort of ink blended the edge, but I mean, if you had just turn my light on a little bit more. But if you had done this more darkly, it'll look very similar to colored cardstock, um, with sort of more of a ink blended, more of a light ink blending, like what I did. It's gonna give you a more ink blended, sort of watercolory kind of look. But we can actually get this piece down. Then I'm probably just gonna use white or cream because there's a lot of there's gonna be a lot of color with the or the paper flags to come. I don't know. I like this particular PDF a lot because of the scrappability to it, but it also was like I feel like I don't think I'm the only one here who like miscut things a few times. So it's sort of like I now have a lot of extra pieces I can work with as well. And let's hope I have cream. And if I don't, I think this is cream. Yeah, this is a nice cream, which I think looks really. I like cream and gray and like this ginger color a lot together. It just has a very fall vibe to me. Yes. See, I feel like game. I mean, I very loosely interpreted game, but I think Craft Roulette this week was really interesting because it's sort of like I forget who the guest was on because I don't think I had seen her before, but I think interpreting like children playing a game was a really interesting way to go with it. And I mean, you could either interpret it more like, you could interpret it more like pieces of a game. And I just cut this at the wrong size. Oh dear. But we may need that later, so I'm sure it will all work out. Like you can I've seen people interpret it as like pieces of a game or like any sort of a game that people could play. So I think both interpretations of game are like really interesting, and it just sort of depends what you like. And then we have this guy. I'm thinking I may leave this off because I think we could put a sentiment here and then leave. Don't know. Yeah, and then just sort of. Then we just need something. I think maybe I may use more of this copper. I think the copper would be really nice as like the whatever is under paper F. So that's 5 by 3/4. Let me see what interesting stuff I always miss so much when you guys are chatting. I feel like yes, Trinity. Yes, I was. I did that thing I do with Craft Roulette where you like forget that they're actually going to give stuff away, and then you wind up like buying things from the guest's company like during the show. They had a really cool clipboard. Well, so somebody, I don't think it was Lynn, but it was somebody on the Not Too Shabby team had done this really cool like recipe box kind of thing where you use sort of the pattern paper and I think I'm gonna like this a lot. I like this look. I guess we have to see what our paper is. Anyway, um, but they had done sort of these recipe cards, and I was like, those would be easy if you had a line stamp. So Trinity Stamps has this. I think it's 3x4, but it's like a note, like a college ruled notebook lined paper and or a stamp. And I'd seen that. I think the person who did the original project, which I think is Letty, but she does so much cool stuff. It's always hard to remember like who did what. But anyway, they had used actual pattern paper that had lines on it. Anyway, I digress quite a bit, but I think let's just grab our. But anyway, there have also been these Dust Bunny stamps I've really wanted that I guess are getting reissued next year. If you've watched much Craft Roulette, Mary Gun Fun has used them a multitude of times, and I've really liked them quite a bit every time I've seen them. Let's see if here we go. We have. Make sure I'm not missing any. There we go. And these are pretty straightforward. You sort of lay them out from biggest to smallest. Or you can invert them as I think these overlap a little bit in the original sketch. So it's kind of like this, and then you just continue on, and you just sort of organize them by length. As you can see, they all are slightly different, which makes for a really kind of neat look when you're all done. So it's sort of like you wind up with sort of this cascade, and then this part goes on top. Ooh. And I forgot that I had used the same pattern in both in this dark brown and in this sort of ginger color, but I don't know. I think this is going to look great. But I want to put a sentiment in the lower corner before I start sticking all this together. So I think I will do that. But anyway, I'm really excited for when the Dust Bunny stamps come out because they're just very. It's a very cute and silly concept, and I'm always all about those. And I think I will continue with one of the stamps sentiments I've been using in this series, which is Happy Hello. So I'll just organize that and hopefully won't get black everywhere doing that, but you never know. I think we're okay. Generally, the nice thing about pigment ink is like once it's dry, and then you're unlikely to make a mark. Yeah, and like that looks okay. Hooray. Oh, it might have been Teresa's live. Teresa does really good lives. I don't know. Like, I'm always impressed with her. She does like a monthly mood board challenge, and it's sort of like coming up with that. I'm just very impressed by. Like I'm pretty good at making cards, but I don't know. I guess I don't necessarily think with like a graphic design mind about like how all the things would go together. So I don't know. I always like those when I get to see those, and that looks good. Hooray. I'm surprised this midnight pad hasn't run out yet because I've been using it for like 2 years and I stamp a lot of stuff in black, but it's still going strong. I thought I didn't have a re-inker for it, but it turns out I do. So, I mean, that's probably why it still works because it's sort of one of those that like wouldn't be that hard to replace. So that's I like that. I think that'll work out pretty well. Oh, are you talking about mine? He is using his I am starving. I am just sort of yeah. He's good at pretending that he hasn't eaten 2 hours ago for whatever reason. I don't know. I feel like some of it is cats want snacks, but some of it is like the cat just wants to like be the center of attention, which is okay. I don't know. He the my black cat who's not the one who just meowed, the one who's better at the mournful meow, is just very vocal. Like I don't think he's Siamese at all, but he has almost like a Siamese like dialect of like they say that cats can make up to like 100 different sounds, and I'm sure he makes most of those. Whoops, that curved a little bit. Let's try that again. But I also think to a certain extent, like my cats just like being the center of attention, and that's fine. And this is a little strange here, so but I think we will be able to correct that a little bit when we put this piece on because it sort of is slightly too low, and I do that a lot, and sometimes that's done just by depending on how these papers are cut. One thing people have found a lot recently, just as an FYI, is that the Michaels cardstock isn't always cut true to 8.5 by 11. So sometimes I remember that and measure it and make sure it's true up and aligned, and sometimes not so much. So we shall see. Oh, I'm curious to hear about your kitties. Yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty surprising. And I don't know, like they're both pretty vocal when they want to be, but my black cat, I feel like, is just vocal for fun. The interesting thing is they were both, I mean, they were both rescues, so they were both kind of former barn cats. And my black cat is an excellent mouser, and my other cat is a not excellent at like a lot of cat stuff because he was found when he was very young, so was actually bottle fed by people. So like at times he sort of has weird like human or dog like traits. So I don't know. I feel like all of our pets are sort of special in their own way. I'm liking how that's looking. I guess it wouldn't be in deference to Lynn. As you can see, the bottom foil paper is kind of coming up a little bit. And one way to address that is to make sure that you burnish anytime you're using wet glue or dry adhesive for that matter. It'll just make sure that you get good adherence before you start. Well, and then you sometimes do that, but we're going to call that rustic or something. Um, but sometimes that happens. But had I actually done that with the base piece, it wouldn't have. Oh, hello, Brian. I did not see you. Hello, hello. How are you? Just working on more card sketches and listening to my cats pretend they haven't eaten 2 hours ago and talking to all the folks. Yeah, they do. It's interesting. I have one cat who's trying to lose weight and one cat who should gain weight. So I don't know. It's always a little bit of after we get off here, I'll definitely give them a treat. But I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if they just want attention or if they actually want the food, but I'm pretty sure that they want food at this particular moment. Um, and this card is really almost done because it's pretty cool because you can, once you have this main part done, you just need to get everything else flush. So I don't know. I wasn't sure how using two stripe patterns would work just because they're both being used in sort of non-directional ways, but it's worked out pretty well to date. So, and as you can see, like here's an instance where there's glue here, but if all I really need to do is grab something. This is a alcohol-free baby wipe, but if I just wipe this glue, because this is PVA glue, it'll wipe off pretty easily, and then that oopsie is done, and it looks like it never happened, which is always kind of fun. As stated, I am not the perfect card maker, so I'm always happy to learn about ways to sort of fix the oopsies as you go. Now that's perfect. It just like that was totally accidental, but it just missed the sentiment, luckily. Yeah, I don't know. I have an interesting story about growing. I actually wasn't a cat person. Both growing up. Well, I mean, I guess I kind of was. I was always a fan of cats, but both my father and my grandmother were. Like, they liked farm cats, but they like the farm cats to be farm cats outside, so it's kinda interesting, but I don't know. I like mine a lot. I mean, they were super helpful when, um, I was working from home for 2 years and, like, you didn't have as much chance to, like, interact with your coworkers and stuff, so it was great to have cats to interact with, and I think we salvaged this pretty well, actually. And we have been going for over an hour, so I guess I will just wrap things up a little bit once I get my pin back in my glue bottle. Funny story. These Karen Bernstein glue bottles are really easy to salvage because I wound up leaving the top off for like a whole weekend, and then like because it was PVA glue, I could just soak it and resurrect it. Anyway, so let's just see what we made this evening. Did three more of 15, except these are in the wrong order. So we did 4, 5, and 6. And let me just clear the screen a little bit. Goodness, I need hotkeys. Anyway, there we go. So those were the three that we did this evening. Um, I don't know. I think they were all pretty successful. I'm liking this color palette. I wasn't sure how this would work out with both like zigzags and like the like super duper florals, and then some of the more subtle ones. But I don't know. These are like I really like this Spellbinders paper collection because it's enough in the middle where you can kind of use it for whatever you want. Really. Let's. There we go. Oh, thanks, Ron. I had fun making these. I think this is just a great collection. Um, what else should I mention? There was a Kendra's Card Challenge hop over on my Instagram amongst a whole bunch of other people, many of whom are in chat right now. But if you haven't seen that, that was teacher card themed, which was pretty interesting. I sort of remember mine was very much elementary school, back to school teacher card vibes, but some of them were really interesting. Didn't see Stamper Girl here, but hers was fantastic. Because she repurposed a bottle to do like this, like really big pencil, like an oversized pencil, sort of decor piece, I guess you'd call it. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, so I think this is a pretty calm week. I don't think anything major is going on. I am running a poll on my channel to figure out what we're doing next month because the lives will just continue on Sundays. And it looks like right now both Halloween and fall are big winners. So there is Not Too Shabby is also releasing fall paper on Tuesday. So I saw the sneak peek that got published on that looked really cool. So Not that I need more paper, but I'll probably get some anyway. Um, but I think that's all the stuff I have coming up. And as usual, please feel free to join the Crafty Fun with Friends of LV Handcrafted group, which I don't know if I have a banner for. I really should make one. Uh, no, I don't have one. Anyway, whoops. I think that is all I have for tonight. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you guys probably next Sunday. If I don't see you on a stream before then, I forget what the schedule is like, but basically, if there's an LV Handcrafted stream on Saturday, I'll probably be either on panel or I will be in the chat. So I will see you at either that stream or the one next Sunday on here. So nice to see you guys. Hope you all have an awesome weekend, and I will talk to you later.